Hey, welcome in. This is Alex, aka Redbeard Variant. I'm with Dizneyverse, Into the Dizneyverse, a podcast about Disney history. If you don't know who we are, look us up on any podcast platform. Go to our YouTube channel, Dizneyverse, social media, Dizneyverse, Dizneyverse. This is the post-draft pre-week 1 of the Dizneyverse Fantasy Football League. I'm going to go over the 12 teams we have, who is on the teams, and then we'll look into the week 1 matchups. So first off, I'm going to switch over to my sleeper here. That way we can look at each team and talk about who they have and team is whose. Because, I know you don't know who each person is. If you're not even in the Disneyverse League, check us out. You can join next year. Winner gets a free t-shirt from our podcast. So I'm going to switch over here to our sleeper platform. And this is our sleeper platform here. And we have all the players in our league. So first and foremost, I'm going to go through each team and let you know who is who. That way we can follow along in our league with who has who. Because keep up with these names is kind of hard sometimes. But, if you want to write it down, go ahead. So we'll start from the bottom up. We have King of the North. That is North. Not hard to know. BBDIS. Big Beautiful Diz. Dane. East High Wildcats. Great team name. I love it. And that is John. We have Smafay, which is Scott. Historians, which is going to be mainly myself and Mags. Now, when we did draft, we had Chris and Ryan help us. I don't think Chris is going to be coming in and out. Ryan doesn't really like football, so he probably won't be much help. But me and Mags will be pretty much going over this team every week to make sure we have the best lineup. Then we have Lady in the Champs, which is Jackie. We have then Kalina. Hopefully I'm saying that right. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Kalina, which is Tara. We have Stroop the Whoop, which is Nathan. Heavyweights, which is Jake. We have 51st Legion, which is Trent. And we have Akuda Matata, which is Jackie. So we have these 12 teams as the half PPR, if you're not aware. And let's go into each team and see how the draft did for us. So I'm going to go into Akuda Matata and look at their team. And start off strong, they have Kyler Murray. Should be a top 5 quarterback, honestly. Aaron Jones over Minnesota should be a top 10 running back. I mean, could he be top 5? Possibly. But definitely a top 10. I mean, if you look at the team, they have Sam Darnold throwing it. This is his first year in Minnesota. They weren't amazing at running the ball last year. They did air it out a lot, but Sam Darnold isn't known for airing out. So maybe Aaron Jones has a lot coming over from Green Bay over here to Minnesota. Then they have Stevenson, a running back too. Very solid running back too. They projected at 8.79. I don't know why. Stevenson was a great running back last year. Jamar Chase as the wide receiver 1, strong wide receiver. Antonio Brown, wide receiver 2, great. Antonio Brown, no, AJ Brown. Ugh, why did I say Antonio Brown? Sam Laporta as a tight end, Detroit tight end, top 5 tight end for sure. Brendan Ayuk, great wide receiver. Unfortunately, Ayuk value, he stayed in San Francisco, which is great for him, but I think his value would have went up if he went to the Steelers like we thought was going to happen. Najee Harris, running back for the Steelers, which could be good for a while until Jalen Warren takes over, which is a possibility. And then they have the Tampa Bay defense. If we look at their bench, they have a Dallas defense as well. They have Sanat for tight end Washington, which I think is a starting tight end, rookie starting tight end. Yeah, it's pretty decent backup. H. Brown, Hollywood Brown, Hollywood. Possibility. He right now is I think the wide receiver 4. I think this is how this works out. 4, 5. So he's also the backup for the slot. So he's a backup for the slot and the 1, which is pretty good because that means he'll be on the field a lot. We have Jonathan Brooks, who's on the pup. So this person right here needs to take this bench player and put him in the IR slot. I believe we have one IR available. And that way they can pick up another player and put it on their bench until Brooks comes back. They have Davis, which should be the number 2, rookie number 2 over in Buffalo. I don't know anything about Ray Davis. He's a rookie. I am surprised he's the number 2. Honestly, did not know that, but I think James Cook is there, and James Cook is going to eat. So I think that's just a handcuff right now. And then Tua is their quarterback, which is pretty good backup, honestly. Any week, really, what I would do is just play these matchups. Who has the better matchup, Buffalo or Jacksonville? I would actually go Jacksonville over Buffalo. That's pretty good, solid first team. I gotta say, pretty solid first team. So I did say handcuff. Just so if you don't know, a handcuff is a running back you grab because you want to play him if his starter gets hurt. So he's a handcuff. You can grab your own handcuffs or grab other people's handcuffs. It's a way for you to make sure you have a high ceiling running back if someone gets hurt. Solid team there, I gotta say. Good job, Jackie. Let's go first Legion. And if you're wondering, is it just a sleeper app? I like this app a lot. It gives me all the information I need. Snap percentages is something I really look at week to week, especially, further into the season. You can look at how many times are they on the field. And that gives you a lot of information. Because they could be on the field 80% of the snaps and get nothing. Because it's just a bad game. But they're on the field a lot, so they should score eventually, Okay, so 51st Legion starts off with Patrick Mahomes, top 5 QB usually. Bijan Robinson should be a workhorse in Atlanta. James Conner, who's been solid as long as he doesn't get hurt. We got Garrett Wilson, should be the number 1 in New Jersey, I believe. Yeah, number 1. Mike Williams behind him came in. They also brought in, who else they brought in? Did they bring in Al Lazard this year? I forget. Anyways, continue. Terry McLaurin is a number 2, solid number 2, high floor, low ceiling kind of thing, mid ceiling, I would say, for Washington. Kyle Pitts could be the number 1 receiver in Atlanta. Ray Wright and Rashee Rice, where is he at right here? He's at the number 1 wide receiver spot, so pretty solid flex. Coleman, I think he's a rookie. Yeah, rookie. Coming into Buffalo, they think he might take over as the 1 eventually over Samuel and Shakir. So look for that to come up there. And then they got the defense, Baltimore defense, which is a solid defense. Kirk Cousins as their backup quarterback behind Patrick Mahomes. Tyson Hill, who has a lot of flexibility. If you look at Tyson Hill here, he is a tight end quarterback, which means you can play him in the quarterback position, even if he doesn't play quarterback for that game. It's crazy. He is very flexible. He could play at tight end, even though he'll play at quarterback. So if you happen to know he's a starting QB this week, play him as your tight end, and he'll score QB numbers. It's insane. We got Antonio Gibson. Yep, Antonio Gibson, who's the number 2 behind Ramon Stevenson there in New England. Shakir, which you have Shakir and Coleman, so I don't know about the doubling up there, having the same, they're, projected around the same, they're in the same team, might be a misstep. Might want to do a trade, 1-for-1 trade. Smith Najiba, which is the number, he is the number 3 behind Tyler Lockett, but I imagine he'll take over Tyler Lockett's position, unless he's just a designated slot, which I thought Lockett was a slot. And then you have Luke Musgrave as your backup tight end, who's a great backup tight end. Because if Pitts doesn't turn out as good as he is, Musgrave is definitely going to have a high ceiling for sure. Pretty solid team right there. This is a 12-team league, so the first 2 teams for a 12-team league is pretty good. Heavyweights, which is Jake. We got Burrow at quarterback, solid quarterback. I'm not just saying it because I'm a Bengals fan, but solid top 5 possibly. Checo, great running back, I would say. Everyone likes him for where he's at. We have Montgomery, backup for Detroit, but a lot of times they utilize these both players same time, Gibbs and Montgomery, so he has a very high ceiling, even though he's the second, more of a 1A, 1B situation rather than a 1 and 2. Mike Evans, solid as a rock. I mean, 2023, look at these numbers, all in the 20 and 10s. 2022, all in the 10s, high 10s. 43 against Carolina in that one game. That's crazy. Very solid wide receiver. Cooper Kupp, again, very solid wide receiver. Kelsey can be top 3 tight end, easy. And but you do have Kelsey and Pacheco. So I don't know. Not great idea. Dell, wide receiver, Houston. Now he's not gonna be the number 1, but he could be the number 2 if Stephon Diggs falls off. But I don't think it's gonna happen. Stephon Diggs is still young, 9th year, still only 30. Could still be a contributor there in Houston. They have Mostert as their flex. I don't love that flex because he is a backup running back behind Ed Chain. Now, a lot of people think he's still going to have a lot of work, but he is 32 for a running back, pretty old. And A Chain is 22. And he showed a lot last year. People think he's going to be the 1, and Mostert's definitely a 2, less than a 1A, 1B situation. But there are people who think he's going to be a 1A, 1B situation. So who knows? And then you got KC defense. Backups, you got Goff, Lloyd, who is ready to take over if Josh Jacobs gets hurt, possibly. Maybe over Emmanuel Wilson. We'll see. We got Dowd, who is up there to beat Ezekiel for the number 1 spot, possibly. They just got a running back, which people are kind of grabbing, but I don't know why. I don't think he's going to be anything. He's not listed as a top 4, but I don't know if Sleeper's updated since then. You got rookie Brian Thomas, could be the number 1 in Jacksonville. Christian Kirk is the number 1 right now, but that's because he has experience. Brian Thompson could come out and show that he should be the number 1. Very high on this guy. I have a start, of course. Curtis Samuel, who is the number 1 right now for Buffalo, could keep it. If he doesn't keep it, he can still become a slot receiver, which is still very valuable. And then you got Jameson Wilson, who's on the other side of Amon St. Brown. Very high potential. Very solid 12 team. Very solid bench. High potential here on this bench. We got Stroop de Whoop. Stroop de Whoop is Nathan. And you have Josh Allen, one of the best quarterbacks in the game right now. You have Breece Hall, who people think might be the number 1 running back this year. You got DeAndre Swift, who just joined Chicago, but everyone thinks he's definitely the 1. And then it's between Herbert and Rashawn Johnson, figure out who the 2 is. So solid running back 2 there. You got Deebo Samuel, whose value kind of went lower once Brandon Ayuk re-signed with San Francisco, but he's used so much, he has a high floor for sure. Nico Collins, who should be the 1. They have him listed as the 1. Some platforms don't have him listed as the 1. They have Stephon Diggs listed as the 1, but I'm pretty sure Nico Collins will be the 1 for Houston. Then you got Joku for your tight end, which I like Joku. I'm a big Joku believer. He is the 1 tight end there. He has Deshaun Watson, who's going to feed him the ball. And if not, if Deshaun Watson stops and Jameson Winston goes there, I still think his potential is high because Jameson Winston likes to air it out. And Joku is just a freak athlete. Then you got Waddle as your flex, who, he's the number 2 wide receiver behind Tyreek Hill, who's a top wide receiver. But they love to throw the ball so much. It's almost like a 1A, 1B situation. And then you got Keelan Allen, who just went to the Bears. He is listed as the number 2 behind DJ Moore. Really? I'm surprised. I would think he'd be the 1. He is 32, but he's just so commanding. Anyway, if that's how it works out, I think Caleb Williams is going to be great. I think the Bears are going to surprise people. I think this is a solid flex spot. San Francisco as your defense, probably the top 5 defense for sure. Then you got Herbert as your backup. Herbert behind Allen. It's like Allen Light, really. Singletary, who we don't know what's going to happen for the Giants, but he is the 1. And he had solid number last year whenever he had to fill in. Let's see. Snap percentages. We go to 54% snap position, 6 points. 75, 3 points, not great, projected 9. 81 percentage, 22 points. 85 percentage, 18 points. So, once he got going, he was good. And then, look at that, 88%, 13 points. Solid numbers for a flex. And then he's going to be the 1 starting out. So, let's see what happens there. Chandler is a solid handcuff behind Aaron Jones for sure. Aaron Jones go down, he is now a number one running back for that team. Then you got Gabe Davis, who's a wide receiver for Jacksonville. He is listed as the third. Could be the number two behind Brian Thomas. Pat Freiermuth, who I don't know why people have projected so low points wise. He is a really good tight end, and no matter what happens, quarterbacks love throwing the tight end. So like it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Kyle Allen, even they're gonna throw the tight end, and he's really good if he stays healthy. Then you got the Houston defense, which is a defense I appreciate having. I like the Houston defense. Solid team for Nathan. Then you got Kalina Tara. See here, C.J. Stroud. Love C.J. Stroud from Ohio State. You got Rashad White, who is the number one running back for the Tampa Bay Bucks. Bucky Irvin is young behind him. I think White might hold on to it all year. You got Kamara, who is a steal wherever you got him this year. He was a steal last year because he was suspended or suspended for a couple of games. But he had a low season last year. I think he's going to bounce back. You got Malik Neighbors, rookie wide receiver, but they say he's going to get so much volume for the Giants that it won't matter. And then you got Godwin, who's the number two wide receiver for Tampa Bay, but on games he can be the one against Evans. And then you got Kittle, who is a top 5 tight end possibly. You got Addison, the number 2 for Minnesota. I think he's going to have a really good year on the other side of Justin Jefferson. He tried to be the 1 last year when Jefferson got hurt, and it did not work out for him. He's a better 2 for sure. Great for a flex spot. And then Go Dirt. I think Go Dirt is a great tight end. Always been great ever since they got rid of his the person he was against for the depth chart. Ever since he got rid of his competition, he's been solid. Minnesota defense, I mean, good defense, solid defense. You got Kelly Williams as your backup quarterback, which is amazing. You have 2 running quarterbacks for your starter and backup. You got Wright for your Dolphins, right there. Is he the backup running back? Rookie backup? No, he's like the 3rd. I wonder what he's going to do this year. I mean, if A-Chain or Mostert get hurt, which they have in past years, he would easily become a solid running back for sure. Courtland Sutton, who's the 1 in Denver, I believe. Yep, the 1 in Denver. I think Bo Nix has the potential to be decent, and I think that means the 1 in Denver will be solid. You got Jerry Jeudy, who's the number 2 for Cleveland. I don't love Deshaun Watson or Jameson Winston for throwing the ball. But again, Jameson Winston put up a lot of numbers in New Orleans when he was playing there because he makes a lot of mistakes, but he actually throws the ball a lot too. So then you got Palmer, who, didn't do amazing last year. That's why they went out and got McConkey, who's a rookie. But I think he still might have a lot of numbers this year. And then you have Dalton Schultz, who could be a number 1 tight end for the Houston Texans. So great backup tight end there. Then we go down to Lady of the Champs by Jackie. You got Jalen Hurts, top quarterback for sure. You got A-Chain, who's number 1 in Miami, which I think he's going to be the 1A. Cook, who is going to eat in Buffalo, I believe. Justin Jefferson, top 5 wide receiver in the game right now. You got Drake London, who I think is going to have a good year. He had an okay year last year. I think last year was his rookie year. Yeah, last year was his rookie year. I think he's going to have a pretty good year because Kirk Cousins can throw the ball a lot better than his quarterback last year. And with the running game being so good, that's going to give Drake London a lot more room. You got Brock Bowers, a rookie, but I think he's going to come out and be a solid tight end for sure. They say, rookie tight end, it's hard for tight ends to be solid rookies, but Kincaid showed it's not. And I think Brock Bowers is going to follow that suit. Then you got George Pickens as your flex, who is the number 1 wide receiver in the Steelers. And like I said, I don't think they're gonna be terrible. Their defense is so good. They have a chance to throw the ball, and I don't think they rely on the running back that much because they don't love Najee Harris or Jalen Warren. So they're gonna throw more. Then you got Zach Moss, who is the 1A out of the 1B situation, or it could be the 1B out of the 1A. We don't know since Mixon left the Bengals who's going to be the number 1. It seems like Chase Brown is going to be is going to be fielding kickoffs, and punts, which means Zach Moss is definitely going to be out there in the first or two downs. Really depends on who's going to be the red zone back, and that could be either or. So we'll see how Zach Moss plays out, but still solid flex, I think, because they're going to utilize both those running backs. Pittsburgh defense, always solid defense. Rodgers as your backup quarterback, he has potential to continue playing and actually play at a high level. At some point, you may be confused of who to play because Rodgers is just throwing out of his mind. Edwards-Helaire is a second-string running back who everyone thought was the answer when he got drafted. Could still be a solid number 2. They brought in Samaj P. Ryan. Could feed into Helaire's numbers. But, if it's an issue, you could just drop him and pick up another one bench player. You got Jaylen Warren, which is a great backup running back because I think within a few weeks he'll take over Najee Harris' number 1 spot. You got DeAndre Hopkins, who I believe is hurt. It says questionable. I think I heard somewhere he's hurt for a little bit, which is fine. They think he'll play in season over. Interesting. I think Calvin Ridley is going to take over as the number 1. That means Hopkins is going to have more room, and he's still a good wide receiver. I think the Titans are going to surprise people. Tyler Lockett, who I said earlier is number 2 in Seattle, and I think is going to fall behind Jiba. He's 31. He's small. Whatever. And then you got Cole Kmet, I think is going to be a solid tight end because, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift is going to open up area for this tight end to get, easy 5-yard, 6-7-yard dumpers. And then Caleb Williams, when you're scrambling, who's your best friend? Your tight end's your best friend when you're scrambling. So, solid team. Then we go down to Maverick Miggs, who is Miggs. You got Lamar Jackson, could be top 5 quarterback. He was like the quarterback, I think, last year. You got Taylor, who is the number 1 in Indianapolis, and he showed last year that he can run no matter what, and I think he's going to do it again this year. You got Devontae Smith, who's the number 2 in Philadelphia, but I think he could take over for the number 1 spot eventually. He's young. He's 25. A.J. Brown's 27. I know it doesn't seem a lot, but he's only in his 3rd year, so I think he has a chance to upgrade. You got McBride, who is going to be a solid tight end for the Cardinals. I think Kyler Murray is going to have a decent year, which means McBride will have a decent year. You got Ingram as your flex. I don't know too much about Ingram. He's kind of been floating around for a while. Played for the Giants, played for Jacksonville. I don't think he has a chance to not be the one in Jacksonville. So a starting tight end is a decent flex idea. And then you got Jaden Reed, who I have a star next to him. I like him. He is the number 1 in Green Bay. But the thing with Green Bay is you don't know who the number 1 is. Could be Reed, could be Watson, could be Dobbs, could be Wicks. They really don't know. But Reed has 1 year experience. Or no, he's a rookie. No, he's 1 year experience. Christian Watson has 2 years experience. Dobbs has 2 years experience. And I think Wicks is a rookie, right? Wicks has 1 year experience. So they're all so young. They all have potential, and Love is going to fling it around. Let's see. You got Cleveland defense, which is amazing defense. You got Jalen Daniels, who I think is going to be decent. A lot better than people think it'll be for a rookie. Washington's going to hum a little more, I think. Great in case Lamar Jackson gets hurt. You have a 3rd quarterback. Not my ideal idea, but Will Levis, I think, might do well this year as well. Plus, you kind of pair that with your wide receiver, right? No. I skipped Nakua. Wow. And Etienne. I skipped a whole bunch here. You have Travis Etienne as your running back 2. He is the running back 1 for Jacksonville. So great number 2 wide receiver. Running back. Your first wide receiver is Nakua. He does have to compete for Kupp because Kupp's healthy now. But he was so good last year. Can he continue being that good? I think he can. So I think solid wide receiver there. You got Ford, who's going to start off as the running back for Cleveland until Chubb comes back. But Ford is so good. Even when Chubb comes back, I think Ford will still get some numbers. He's in your bench. So, if he does or doesn't matter. You got Mike Williams, first year for the Jets. I think Rodgers is going to like him because he's so big. I think he's going to have a decent year. You got Christian Watson. So you have 2 players from the same team, but really, which one's going to be the breakout? You have 3 Green Bay Packers fans. Wow. You have 3 Green Bay Packer players. That is interesting. You have a lot of Week 10 buys as well, which don't worry about the Week 10. But I don't know what you're gonna do with three wide receivers. I guess you're gonna wait to see who the one is, and then trade the others away. See what happens. Then you got my team, who I drafted with everybody else. We have Dak Prescott as a quarterback. We got crazy value for him. We feel like we have Saquon Barkley, who we did not draft. We actually drafted. We actually drafted Gibbs, but we also drafted St. Brown. So we actually traded Gibbs to Scott for Barkley. I think Barkley's gonna have a good year, his first year for the Eagles. We got Kenneth Walker, who is amazing as long as he doesn't get hurt. We got St. Brown, who I think is going to have a great year, of course, like he always does. Um, we got Adams, who I think is going to have a good year. I mean, he's 31, but he's like the guy for the Raiders, unless Brock Bowers takes over. Myers just got there, but he wasn't even the guy for the New England Patriots when he had to be the guy. So we got Kincaid as our tight end, who, like I said, last year had an amazing year. Can he continue that amazing year? We'll find out. We got Zay Flowers as our flex, who is the number one for Lamar Jackson. That means he'll be putting up some numbers, of course. And he's only his second year. Like, he has to grow still. We got Calvin Ridley, who I think was a great value for him. He had some trouble in Jacksonville on and off the field. And I think he's going to have a bounce back year with Will Levis chucking the ball to him. We got the Chargers defense, who I am a fan of. Then our backups, we got J.K. Dobbins, who is listed as the 2, but a lot of people think he's going to be the 1. So we'll see what happens there. We got Javonte Williams, who is the 1. Jaleel McLaughlin competed against him last year. People think it's going to be a 1A, 1B scenario, but I think Javonte is going to keep it. We got Brian Robinson, who is being pushed by Eckler this year. We don't know what's going to happen with Eckler. Eckler's 29, and he's also tiny. So I think Brian Robinson is going to keep it. He's only 25. Like, why would they move on from him? We got Chase Brown. We're waiting to see what happens in the Bengals backfield to see how that plays out for us. We got Michael Wilson, the number 2 for Kyler Murray. I think Kyler Murray is going to have a great year, which means Marvin Harris is going to have a great year. And if Marvin Harris is having a great year, then the second wide receiver is going to be open a lot. That's what I'm counting on for sure. And then we got Deontay Johnson, who is going to start off as the number 1 wide receiver for Carolina. He had a down year for the Steelers, but the Steelers' offense in general had a terrible year. So I'm hoping he can bounce back with Bryce Young having a second season in the NFL. Let's go to Scott Maffei. He has Stafford as his quarterback. Now, he waited forever to get quarterback, but Stafford is always a solid choice. Like, he's not when he plays, he has solid numbers. So, like, it wasn't a terrible idea waiting that long. Just if he gets hurt. Like I said, I traded him Gibbs for Barkley. He has Kyren Williams. Not sure why he wants to stack a running back with a quarterback. I did that in my family money league, and I am stressing about that. I have C.J. Stroud and Mixon, and I'm stressing. But it's harder for me because C.J. Stroud is a running quarterback. Stafford is a pocket quarterback. So he's not going to take running plays away from Kyren Williams, where C.J. Stroud will. You got Tyreek Hill. Of course, he's going to pick up Tyreek Hill. Scott is a Dolphins fan, and he's probably going to be amazing like he always is. You got Stephon Diggs, who I think, like I said, Collins should be the 1, but Diggs could be. You never know. Diggs could come out and just be the guy. You have Isaiah Likely as your starting tight end. I don't understand because he's behind Mark Andrews, and Mark Andrews is back. So I don't know how Likely is going to be your number 1 tight end. Do you have another tight end? You have no other tight end. May want to get one. DJ Moore as your flex spot. Like I said, I didn't know he was the number 1 wide receiver in Chicago. If he is, that's a good flex to have for sure. You got Mixon, who I think is going to have a really good year, and that's your flex. Like, your running back area is set. Gibbs, Williams, and Mixon, crazy good value. Detroit is your defense. Offense is humming. Defense is going to do well as well. Deshaun Watson as your backup quarterback. He could easily halfway through the year just show that he is the guy, that he's back, and you could throw him in over Stafford for sure. You got Benson. If Connor gets hurt, Benson is a workhorse running back. That's what everyone says is going to happen. Plus, he's from Florida State. So Scott knows something about him because Scott loves Florida State. That he was happy to get that guy. You got Zeke. We don't know who is going to be the running back one for Dallas. He's 29 years old. He had not a great year for the Patriots last year, but he's back in Dallas. So let's see what happens there. You got Eckler, who just got moved to Washington this summer. And like I said, I think Brian Robinson's going to keep him out. But if Jaden Daniels doesn't do well and they have to rely on the running game, that means Eckler and Robinson's going to have a lot of work to do. You got Xavier Worthy, the fastest player at the draft. And if anyone's going to be able to use him, it's going to be Kansas City for sure. And then you got T. Higgins. Love T. Higgins, number 2 wide receiver for the Bengals. I think he should be your flex spot over DJ Moore, maybe. I don't know. Probably not. You're probably right. You probably know. You're probably right. But I don't know. I love Higgins, so I hate to see him sit on the bench. Then you got John's East High Wildcats. You got Anthony Richards, who's going to have a second year for the NFL, and I think he's going to have a good year. I think he's going to step up and do well. You got Nick Chubb as running back, who is hurt right now, so you want to put him on your IR. He's not coming back till mid-season. You probably don't know that. He's not coming back mid-season, so you want to put him on your IR and grab another running back. You can't grab Ford, who's going to be his replacement, but you could grab Pierre Strong. And if Ford goes down, I think they'll skip Foreman. I don't know why Foreman's here over Pierre Strong. Pierre Strong played well last year and is a lot younger than Foreman. Foreman's 28. But I would definitely put him on your IR slot and grab another running back. You got Charbonnet, who is also a number 2 running back. So your running back is not looking good. But good news is it's not good news because I never want this to happen. But if Walker gets hurt, who I have, if Walker gets hurt, Charbonnet is a workhorse running back for sure. You got Christian Kirk for your wide receiver, number 1 for Jacksonville. Always solid to have a number 1 wide receiver when you can. You got Leggett, a rookie out of South Carolina, who's gonna be the 3rd wide receiver. But if he plays well, he's a 6'3" guy, 227, young from South Carolina. If he plays well, he could be the number 1 wide receiver for Carolina for sure. I mean, easy. And then you got Gronkowski. Don't know what you're thinking there. He's not going to come out of retirement. Sorry. You got Hubbard as your running back. Now, he is a running back 1 for now until Brooks comes back. And then he's going to be the 2A, I imagine, because Brooks is going to have to do a little bit to show that he can take it all. You got on as your tight end, your flex, which is number 1 tight end there. So I imagine you're going to flip that right there. Put Gronk in your flex, put Otton in your tight end spot, and then take Gronk out of your flex and put in one of your players, which I'll tell you which one I think would be the best option. You got Bo Nix, who I think might have a good year. There might be a game in the future where you want to play him over Richardson. Highly doubt it. You got Fields, who I think will end the year as a Steelers quarterback. So that's a lot of value there as well. You got Bucky Irvin, who people think is going to take over the running back for White. If he does take over, he'll probably be more like a 1B versus a 1A versus a 1. But he could. You got Vidal. Vidal is a rookie coming for the Chargers. And I know on the depth chart he's the 3rd. But Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbin get hurt a lot. It happened in Baltimore. So we could be looking 3rd, 4th week of the NFL, and Vidal is the guy for the Chargers. And then you got Perine, who just got signed by Kansas City. I think all he's going to do is take work away from Edwards-Helaire. I don't think he's going to be utilized that much. And then you got Montrell Washington, who is, where is he on the depth chart? I don't even see him on here. I don't know who he is, really. 25, going into his 3rd year. He's not even on the depth chart here, so I don't know what to do with that guy. I would probably look to drop him, and grab some players off the waiver. You don't need running back depth. I mean, you need running back depth because you don't have running backs. Like right now, you don't have a single starting running back. That's what's going on right now for you. So you need to do something at running back for sure. You have one starting running back. You have Hubbard for now. So you have one starting running back for now. I don't think anyone else is going to get some points. Like projection 3, 1, 2, projection 0, of course, because he's hurt. 5, projected 9. So, I mean, definitely flip that around and then go to waivers and see if you can find more running backs. But in a few weeks, it won't matter because you'll have plenty of starting running backs between Irving and Vital, possibly, you know? Let's go to Dane's team here. He has Brock Purdy as his quarterback. I don't love Purdy as a quarterback, but San Francisco sure does. Whoever's throwing the ball in San Francisco is going to have solid numbers. Derrick Henry is now a Ravens fan, a Ravens running back. Dane is a Ravens fan. I bet it's fun to have that running back for your team. You got Josh Jacobs, who's going to workhorse for Green Bay Packers for sure. I mean, look at those running backs, 12-12, solid. You have CeeDee Lamb, could be a top 5 wide receiver, should be a top 5 wide receiver, honestly. You got DK Metcalf, the number 1 for Seattle, no question about that. And Geno Smith is just a solid quarterback. He's going to get him the ball of it, as he needs. You got Jake Ferguson, number 1 tight end for Dallas, should have solid numbers. But you got 2 Dallas players here. They're going to take touchdowns from each other. You got Cooper, number 1 wide receiver for Cleveland. If Deshaun Watson comes back and plays well, Amari Cooper will have a good year, even though he's 30. I don't think Judy or Moore is going to require the ball more than Cooper. You have Adonzi as your flex. He's a rookie, and he is a 3rd running wide receiver. But he came in with Caleb Williams, so they might have a great rapport. He may get the ball a lot more. Buffalo defense is solid. You got Trevor Lawrence as your backup quarterback, solid backup quarterback for sure. I'm guessing you're just going to play the week to week between Purdy and Lawrence. You got Cook as your backup. You picked up Dalvin Cook. I don't think Dalvin Cook, he's not even on the list here, but I think that might be early on. Maybe they didn't change it. I don't think he's going to do anything for them. Unless Zeke and Dowd is just nothing. Then they might give Cook a chance for sure. You got Gus Edwards, who's listed as a 1, but like I said earlier, we think J.K. Dobbins is going to be the 1, but that does not mean Edwards is not going to get a lot of work. I have him in my money league as well. You got Donnie Mitchell, who's a rookie for Indianapolis. You got Pittman ahead of him, and then Downs, but Downs was decent last year, not amazing. Mitchell could jump him for sure. Pittman, I think, is too solid to get taken off the number 1 spot. So Mitchell could get some numbers for sure. You got T.J. Hawkinson, which is injured. Put him on your IR and pick up another player. It's going to be a bit until he comes back. And you got the Jets defense on your bench, which Jets defense is solid as well. Then we got number 12, last but not least, we have North. North, it has Jordan Love, who I love this year. I think he's going to have a great year. We got McCaffrey, number 1 running back. He fell, I think, or did you pick him on 1? I forget. But he's solid for sure. Then you got Zamir White, who I think is going to have a really solid year. I don't know why they project him so low in the 9s. He's the guy. Like, Alexander Madison is a handcuff. He's not going to take over anything for him. Zamir White is a guy there. He's going to do well. You have Marvin Harris, who I said already is going to be the guy for Kyler Murray to throw to, who's going to open up things from Wilson. But Harrison's going to eat. He's a great wide receiver. Olave is the number 1 for Derek Carr. Derek Carr is a great running quarterback who's going to get his man the ball. He's going to be amazing. Olave. You got Mark Andrews as your tight end 1. He always has solid years with Jackson as long as he doesn't get hurt. Great tight end. You got Michael Pittman, number 1 wide receiver for Anthony Richardson. Again, I think he's going to have a solid year. You got Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard just signed with the Titans. I think they're going to try him out. Spears has been there, though. This is his 2nd year in there. But obviously they brought in Pollard for a reason. And I think he's going to be the 1 until he shows he can't be the 1. So we'll see what happens there for sure. And then you got Philadelphia defense, which is solid. You have Blake Corum, who's a rookie. Now, they have him as a 2 behind Kyron Williams. So he's a handcuff. I've heard that he's a handcuff for Kyron Williams. So great potential there. You have Spears. So I see you have Spears in case Pollard isn't the guy, I guess. You're going to wait to see who the 1 is. You have McConkey, who should be the number 1 for the Chargers. Great depth. Myers, number 2. I don't know why you have Myers and... Oh, you have White. You don't have the other wide receivers. Never mind. You have White. You have Myers. I wouldn't want to play them at the same time, but you have them just in case you need them. You have Dobbs, who could be the guy for Green Bay. Like I said, they have 4 potentials. They have Conklin, who's got a solid year, I think, as a tight end for sure. Solid year for sure. And that's our 12 teams. Those are our 12 teams. Um, I think we have a chance to have a lot of fun. So, you know, let's look at some other stuff here. We'll look at the week 1 matchups and see what we got going on. So we got myself versus Lady of the Champs. I'm projected a 51% win. Not much of a waiver of thing there. I think one thing to look at is, of course, the quarterback. My quarterback's projected lower than your quarterback, but and the Cleveland's defense is hard. Green Bay might be easier, so that might be correct. Let's look here at the flexes. Flowers Ridley versus Pickens Moss. Pretty even numbers wise. Definitely gonna, if Flowers catch a touchdown, Ridley catch a touchdown, then I will take away with it. Other way around, you got it. So like it's neck and neck for sure. Neck and neck for sure. We got Scott versus North. We have a 51% chance for Scott versus 49% chance for North. Very solid still. Very even. Look at that. 50-50 between Okuda Matata and Team Maverick Miggs. So, I mean, Jackie and Miggs, it's going to be, who knows who's going to win, really. It's probably going to come down to one of these players having a breakout day and the other one not, honestly. We got heavyweights versus 51st Legion, and that's Trent versus Jake. And, again, 50-50. Could be anyone. Could be anyone. Now we come down to the 2 most uneven games. We have Dane versus Stroop de Whoop. Stroop de Whoop being Nathan. And Nathan's projected to win by 53%. But, it's early on. It's all projection. So, like, these projections will get closer once we know who is the guy for these teams. How are the teams actually going to utilize running backs? So, like, this projection could be the way it is, and it could go way different. So, even though Dane's projected to lose by 47%, which isn't a big margin. It's not a big margin. So, it's very close. This one is the worry. We got 72% for Tara versus John, 28%. And like I said, John, you have someone who needs to go to IR. You have a tight end who doesn't even play in the NFL right now. Those are zeros. Once you take those out and fill those in, this number is going to change drastically. Your 62 is going to go up by, minimum it's going to go up if you just use your bench. If you just use your bench, it's going to go up by, it's going to go by 5 if you just use your bench. So 5, 67. Let's go look at players. Just for everyone else, cover your ears. Don't look. I'm just talking to John right now. John, running back. Algier is the 1-2, I think, for Atlanta, not the 2, but the 1B. I'm sorry. Tell Algier to have a big role according to OC. That's what they say, but that's what he says. Like I said earlier, McLaughlin could take over for running back. He had a solid preseason. If Williams has any hiccup at all, McLaughlin could take over in Denver. Herbert should be the 2 for Chicago, and hopefully Swift plays enough to keep him off. But like when Swift was in the Eagles last year, the 2 running backs still had a lot of work. So, Herbert could still get the ball quite a bit. We got Pierce for Houston, who is behind Mixon. If Mixon gets hurt, Pierce will be the number 1 for Houston for sure and workhorse. We got Rashawn Johnson. I wouldn't get him if I'm going to get Herbert. And we got Shipley, who I don't. Madison's a handcuff for the Raiders. And Jamal Williams I don't even know if he's the handcuff for them anymore because Mims is in his second year. He might actually take over as the number 2. I don't really see other running backs for you. Maybe Tank Bigsby. He played a little decent last year. It's only his second year. He played decent last year. If Etienne doesn't play really well, but I think he will. because you could have a lot more work. That's about it on here for you. People do like Ali as a rookie because Derrick Henry's older, 30 years old, has a lot of, he could get hurt. Justice Hill has proven he will get hurt. That would put Ali right into the starting squad. So, if I were you, I'd go and try to get, a running back, definitely for sure. If anything, look at the numbers. Projected 5, projected 5, projected 4, projected 5. So, like, that's 5 points that's going to be on your team. That's taking you up to like 67 right there. And then let's look at the flex spot that you want to, or tight end. Is there any starting tight ends out there for you? Noah Fant is a starting tight end for Seattle. AJ Barner is a rookie, and they think he's going to do well, but he's been injured. So I think Fant is a solid number 1 right now for Seattle. So you could pick him up and flip him for your Gronk, and you have 2 starting tight ends. Parkinson is number 1, but Higbee is there, and he's been solid, but he's in the pup. So actually, you know what? Parkinson is a good value right there. You got Henry for New England. He's the number 1. Okonkwo to Tennessee. He's number 1. Smith for Miami. Is he the number 1 He is the number 1. He's pretty old too. Smith, I think, is going to be okay. So, like, you have options for tight end. So go get a tight end for Gronk. Go get that running back. And then if you want to drop that one wide receiver that I don't know what he's going to do, Robinson for the number 2 for the Giants. If the Giants do better, we think he'll be a value. I don't think Demarcus Robinson is a value. Shaheed could be a value. He played well last year. Other side of Olave, number 2 wide receiver for Carr. I would definitely like him on my bench in case he has a breakout. And that's all I see. Downs is the 2 for Indianapolis right there. He's not the 3, he's the 2 right now. So, I mean, for him to even be out there is crazy. For him to be out there is actually pretty crazy. I'm not going to pick anybody up right now, but Bateman out there, he's the number 2 for the Ravens. He's out there. So there's value out there for you. So definitely I would go out there and try to hit the waivers. Now, I kind of wish I did this earlier on, but this is how, I'll explain how waivers work next week when it's a week 1 and we actually have to worry about waivers. Okay, so next week's episode is going to be about, who won. I'm going to talk about the best players in positions. I'm going to talk about the best players on the bench or on the benches of each team. And I'm going to talk about the best players in the free market for each position. And then do a look at the next week. So that will be next week's episode. So, thanks for watching. And you know what? I'll see you next week.